And welcome back to Who Would Win. And as always, as always in the week of Who Wins, the second Wednesday is always the second of my monthly Who Would Wins. To explain again what the topic is this time, previously I was doing a lot of the Bleach ones, the Captains, Espadas, Terminators. Now we're doing something near and dear to my heart, the Planeswalker characters of Magic the Gathering, the TCG card game. To just sum it up real quick, in the story line of Magic the Gathering, there are basically an odd nearly infinite amounts of universes or planes of existence. Different worlds, different creatures, different cultures, so forth. And there are individuals in the story called Planeswalkers who can travel between these worlds of existence. So there you are. Normally speaking, they are some sort of spellcaster or a more powerful than average individual. I'm not using every one of them that has ever appeared in the story, because we don't really know all the abilities of these all of those planeswalkers, or the ones that have really had very little to no impact on stories. So characters like Domarad or what's that one from Conspiracy? Dak Faden? That's it. Dak Faden. Like characters like that, those we're not using this because frankly we don't know a great deal about their abilities and they've had no real prevalence. We'll make a couple exceptions here and there, like Ashiok's definitely going to get a versus because I generally know what Ashiok can do. So without further ado, we're on to the third of the original core planeswalkers, the 5 original ones, each because Magic has 5 different colors, 5 different archetypes for that. So there were 5 original core planeswalkers, and we're on to the third one now. Chandra Nalaar, who is a pyromancer. It goes out saying exactly what that means. She can control and manipulate a fire. Now we've seen her do it on multiple levels. It's tied with her emotions. So we've seen her cast fireballs. We've seen her do fire, like things like fire whips. There's cards that show that she can possibly conjure up creatures like phoenixes, things along those lines, in the shape of fire, in the shape of those creatures. So there's evidence for that. She has learned more control, though, being taught by Jayla. What am I talking about? Jayla Ballard, one of the original pyromancer in the series, before she actually got a planeswalker card, and then she got one. Being taught by her for more control, she now has a much greater She now has a much greater deal of control, therefore she can create like small orbs around her, more finessed fire. She is capable of using something called the clear flame of Ugin. Ugin is another planeswalker we'll get to much later down the line, because he's probably arguably one of the strongest planeswalkers there is, at least available right now. I mean, there's like there's a top 3 or 4 tier of who are arguably the strongest planeswalkers given history, lore, and what we know about them. Ugin falls into that rank. Chandra's fires, though, have grown so powerful and can become so extreme that she has literally incinerated basically Eldritch Cthulhu-esque beings. Now, granted, she didn't kill them as a whole, though technically they did. They did find a way to succeed in killing them as a whole, because essentially the whole point of them is that they don't actually, what you see in your world is like, a perfect example is, let's say we are the Cthulhu-esque being, and there's a pond. We dip our finger in the pond. The finger is not us. Even if you were to just, that much of your finger, even if you were just to destroy that much of the finger, you're not killing us. You're just destroying a part of us, and by extension, nothing else. They figured out a way to draw them into the plane and then kill them, which Chandra was able to do with her fire. Now, she was completely exhausted at that point, just drained. She's got a limit to what she can draw on, but she was able to do that. Unfortunately, like a lot of pyromancers, she is hot-headed. She's learned to get a little bit more control as of late, but she is just hot-headed and prone to emotional fits of anger. She's also prone to being stupid. It's like, this is all my fault this happens. Like, no, I didn't work because I'm weak. I got to get stronger and I can help out. That's why this feels like, no, it really isn't. I was reading that part of the story. I'm like, no, it's not your fault. That's dumb. You're dumb. Stop being dumb. It's like, wow, you're not the bright character. But very rarely are red-based characters in Magic the most intelligent. Not to say they're dumb, Those Chandras, kind of. Not to say they're dumb, but they are and prone to emotion and rage. They're red is the color of expression and emotion and rage and fury more than any other color. So there's that. Zuko. Now I try to refrain from using the same character within like a couple weeks. At least give a couple weeks prior. So like occasionally, like I was looking through it for like the who would wins I was gonna do, and like I'd already done Beerus like a week prior, so like, oh, someone's suggesting Beerus again. I gotta have to skip that person for the time being. But I will get to that eventually. That personal fight you were suggesting. But so Zuko, I know I did a little while back again. I think I put him up against Hotspot, but it's been a long enough time now. I feel I can do Zuko again. So Zuko was the Crown Prince of the Fire Nation. Now we're using end of book 3 Zuko, even though there is stronger Zuko later on in his life. That's in terms of what we generally see, the strongest form of Zuko we see. Though you can make an argument Fire Lord Zuko was, like, in Korra was stronger. He's lost, like, stamina because he's just older at that point. So stamina and physical capabilities not as powerful. But Zuko was the Crown Prince of the Fire Nation. By the end, he was a capable firebender. But by the end of book 3, he was a very skilled firebender. He was capable of, and granted, this was when Sozin's Comet, which enhanced firebending came through. But he was able to go toe-to-toe with his sister, who was a firebending prodigy, but she was also off her game, so they were evened out. Capable of doing multiple things, including the standard fire blast, capable of creating a shield of fire around him, a dome of fire. He was capable of creating fire daggers, fire whips. I don't think he ever demonstrated that thing Azula did, where she actually basically launched herself with fire like a rocket. I don't think she ever demonstrated that. He can use fire in kicks. He can separate fire, create a firewall. Many different techniques that are used with fire. But he is not just capable of fire. He's also a skilled dual sword user. I believe they're called Daos. Basically, two swords that the handle is one handle, but two blades, and splits to reveal two swords. Zuko is a master swordsman. I more than anything loved watching Zuko too. Dooku's cool. Zuko use a sword. So watching Zuko, I'm saying Zuko. Watching Zuko use blades, I'm amazed that he like never incorporated that with firebending, like heated up his blades or something like that. Could you imagine how cool that would have been in the series if he had done that? That would have been awesome. Just start doing like flame slices. Just heat them up and then just launch like blades of flames out of his sword. That would have been so cool. But I love Zuko. I love Zuko's character anyway. Zuko is one of the best characters on the show. There was very rarely any characters who were not like fantastic in some level on that show. I can't think of really any character I disliked, like in the sense that I don't like this character at all. Like Fire Lord Ozai, Azula. They're characters you love to hate. You love the fact that they're the bad guys. Like, I can't wait for them to get their comeuppance kind of bad guy. I can't think of any character that I actually disliked. Anyway, I digress. But no, he was highly skilled with his swords. Also, a skilled hand-to-hand fighter. Like, he was a capable hand-to-hand fighter. He frankly didn't need his fire at any point to kick your ass if he really had to. And he just grew as the course of the show went on. He learned actually the true meaning of firebending from the dragons, which only strengthened his own firebending. He learned how to control his breathing. Learned basically lessons from his grandfather, who was also a master firebender. And he learned to redirect lightning, which will not play a factor in this fight, so we're not going to bother. So that's basically it. Zuko was also prone to hot-headedness and to losing his temper, but as the series progressed, he still had somewhat of a temper, but it was nothing like he was when he was young. Because he found new purposes in his life, it put him on a level of inner peace to some degree that allowed him to rein in a lot of his temper and have a much more sound mind in fights, which really aided him. So, and I think I briefly mentioned Chandra's Flame of Ugin, which is essentially a white-hot flame that you can't see. So I believe I forgot to mention that. So, further ado, how does this fight take place? Well, now someone planeswalked not to the MCU for a change. The first two fights took place there. But to, I don't even know. Do we know what the world of Avatar is called? I mean, do we actually know that? Because we look at the map of the world, like the FireNet, where the nations are. Is that the entire world? I'm not certain, honestly. But anyway, basically planeswalks to that plane of existence where actually you could see some that would actually, you know what? I say that out loud now. That would actually make a pretty solid Magic set. At least one, because that's the way they do it now. One big set. It's a world where there are 4 basically factions. I'd imagine you'd probably do it like the combination of 2 color pairings or something like that. Or maybe 3 color, something like that. And an avatar would probably be a 5 color creature. Because there's 4 elements, or 4 color creature, whatever. He'd probably be a 5 color creature. Let's not mince words. And yeah, there's plenty of hybrid creatures there that you can do. So yeah, actually, I can see that is something I'd like to see people do at some point. Maybe make a fake, because there's card creators online all the time. Show me a fake or a fan-made Avatar: The Last Airbender Magic set. That'd be cool. But anyway, Chandra goes there, and initially she's learning firebending from the firebenders. They've never seen someone quite like her, so it's very unique, and she's having a great time and everything like that. However, she's not really aware that they're evil. So, and she's actually, I imagine she'd actually be the only person who could firebend on the Day of Black Sun, and they'd see her as a god, maybe even make her Fire Lord Chandra or something like that. That'd be hilarious. Chandra's like, yeah, no. And then Zuko and her somehow come to odds. How do they come to odds? Well, I'd imagine that because she's a pyromancer, he'd mistake her, rightfully so, as a firebender, which she kind of is. And it's like, something. Basically, she thinks she's a bad guy, and she'd be like, "No, I'm not." It's like, whatever. It's like, fine, it's like, just stay out of my way. You won't get hurt. And then she just throws flames at him. He just, it's like, yeah. It's like, and then she goes fire plus. It's like, I don't think I'm the one who's gonna get hurt. And then the fight eventually commences. Now, right off the bat, she's got to keep him at a distance. If he gets in close, she's done. Because Chandra has no hand-to-hand abilities at all. She's not a Gideon. She's not a Garrick. She's not a Sorin. She has no hand-to-hand capabilities really at all. But luckily she can pretty much make continuous flames. So that's more than enough to keep him at bay. Likewise, Zuko's basically trying to get through her guard, but he can't because she can just keep up this fire. She maybe even creates like a phoenix at one point and just sends it at him, and he's just like, whoa, and then he just brings his swords out and just while powering up a little flame, just boom, and then just cuts through the phoenix and just throws one of the swords at her. She is able to get away from it, but now Zuko's coming in. He's immediately starting to press on her. She's able to maybe dodge the first couple of punches, but eventually he just gets her. Luckily, she does wear a little bit of like leathered armor, so it doesn't truly hurt, but she feels it. Just boom, and then he just boom comes into the sword. Luckily, she still brings her wall of fire, singes him, and he burns like, ugh! And Sandra blasts him. Luckily, he's able to form a dome, but he goes flying. So, now Chandra still's like, ow. So Zuko gets up again. Zuko's a tough bastard, too. Zuko can take a hit when he wants to. So now he comes in, fire daggers as well, flames kind of rolling around his fist a bit. Starts firing a fire at her. He's running up towards her. She comes in again. This time he ignites the fire daggers, makes them bigger, just kind of takes the flames in and just absorbs them a little bit and just merges with them. He just comes in again, just cold cocks her and just boom. Now Chandra can also kind of take a hit as well, but she's a lot squishier than well, that was a bad terminology in this case. She's a bit more glass-jawed than he is. Squishy. That was not the right term to use. But I don't edit these things, so that's staying in. Luckily, though, she's like... So now it basically comes down to... Zuko is now standing over her, and she's kind of coughing. She's got maybe... Not a broken jaw, but she's bleeding from her jaw. And he's getting ready, like, surrender. It's like, I don't surrender. I never surrender. Now, Zuko could not... Here's the weird scenario. This is going to be the real deciding factor in the fight. Can Zuko avoid the clear flame? Because the clear flame it's an invisible flame, more or less. There's no you don't see the fire. However, and there is like see-through fire basically. There is like an invisible flame. However, being a firebender, he can sense heat. Being a firebender, he can generally sense fire on some level. And while clear flame basically has no real look to it at all, you can still see the outline of heat. If you ever seen waves of heat on the road, you can still see the waves of heat. It'd be the same concept. Zuko would notice this and realize something is very wrong and quickly maybe put up his defenses and get blasted with like the white hot flame of just clear dragon fire. Now, it wouldn't kill Zuko, but he would not be prepared for it. And I think maybe he basically have his arm basically just burnt off. Luckily, he'd be cauterized, but he'd be like, ah! And that would basically just be like, you know, using rage to fuel his fire real quick. He just kind of like the Agni Kai, basically, that what basically gave him a scar was a concentrated burst of flame straight to the face. He does that straight into her face, just, and just, boosh! And I don't think it would be any stronger than your normal Agni Kai, which gave him his scar. He's honestly lucky he had an eye after that. He probably closed his eye. But it'd be enough that because it hit her square in the face and because, you know, breathing and all that, hypothetically, that could collapse her lungs, if not temporarily. She's used to fire and heat all the time, so maybe her body's used to that. But still, it'd be enough that it would probably, first off, it would scorch her face unbelievably. Chandra would not have that nice complexion anymore. But I think that just concussive blast of that, plus the heat and everything, that would just knock her straight out. So I think Zuko wins this fight the majority due to having just greater experience, a more level head, greater, more just overall better abilities. He's got more than just fire on his side. He's got his blades. He's got hand-to-hand techniques. He's got multiple ways of using his fire, just like Chandra does. But he also doesn't have to draw on mana. That's the thing about them. That's the thing about all these magic characters you have to understand, is that they have to draw on the mana from the world to do so. Mana is also regenerating too, so there's an infinite supply technically, but you have to draw from the source and let it eventually recharge. Fortunately, she'd be in an area like the Fire Nation or something like that that have mountains which are representative of the red mana she uses. So it wouldn't be that difficult for her to use her mana. But the only thing Chandra could really do to catch Zuko off guard would be to use the white dragon flame of Ugin, which doesn't have any real noticeable visibility other than the fact that it's fire. And so you can see the heat waves and heat in the air. The only question is, the majority of the time, does Zuko see that or does he not see that? And I think the majority of the time he does see it. Again, being a firebender, being the very nature of fire, you'd still, even a normal person could still theoretically see that. As in having enough experience dealing with other firebenders. That's the thing. Chandra almost never deals with other fire users. The only time she has, like dealing with Jaya Ballard, she really doesn't fight her at all, but Jaya has the more experience of too. Or dealing with Nico Bolas, who's, to be fair, well and above far her superior. But dealing with, he's even like, fire against a dragon? Are you serious? Basically, against other fire users, she's actually not fared very well. So, is it always going to be Zuko? No, because I think there's that scenario, like, even in the scenario he wins, I do believe she took an arm off with that. Because the white flame of Ugin is a bit more powerful than your average fire. But I think the majority of time Zuko does see it. Now, what's the percentage of that? Kind of similar to the last last Planeswalker fight. I think it's about a 9 to 10. I think Zuko wins 9 times out of 10, 90% of the time. I think Chandra, though, can catch him off guard about 10% of the time. I think that's a fair analysis there. But what do you think? Do you think Chandra could just obliterate Zuko? Do you think Zuko just curb stomps Chandra all the time? Think Chandra can win the majority of the time? Put that in the comments below. Let me know. Thanks for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero, Magic, What If, anything I do on this channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. And as always, I'll give you a shout out too. That is one thing I always want to do when people give me suggestions. Is I want to just thank the YouTube community that actually watches my Star yes, especially since all I do is talk in I have no graphics. I have nothing. Just just this guy talking in front of a camera for every video I do. One day, it could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years down the line, I will have upgraded, at least graphics in front of the damn screen. At some point in my life doing this, I'll do that. Till then, though, I do still thank everyone who watches me and enjoys me. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you later for What If. Thanks for watching.